Thank you very much for the kind introduction. Got to say, this whole thing has really done a number on my already inflated ego, so thank you. I know I'm not the top of the class, and I am definitely not a public speaker, so that tells me that at least someone found my story worth sharing, so I'll give it the best I can. But you'll have to bear with me. This is the first thing since I've been here that I've had to write without ChatGPT, so just kidding. Hello everyone, my name is Isaac Anderson, but my family and friends call me Ike. I'd like to share a few lessons that I've learned along the way at UNK, but first, a little background for context. Growing up, I was a class clown and a troublemaker. I graduated from Elm Creek in 2017, and if you ask anyone who knew me then, and frankly a lot of people who know me now, they'd probably wonder why I'm giving this speech, and I don't blame them. Most parents told their kids to stay away from me. However, there was one person I couldn't stay away from, and her name is Kelsey. I knew from a young age that I wanted to join the Army, which meant moving away. That didn't scare Kelsey at all, and that's how I knew she was a one. But I'm also reminded every day because she still lays out my clothes and packs my lunches. I took the ASVAB seriously because I wanted a military job that would translate into something useful afterwards, but a very convincing recruiter told me that the infantry was pretty cool. So shortly after high school, I was off to train to be what my friends endearingly call a nose picker. I got good test scores, but I obviously wasn't the brightest decision maker. It turns out picking your nose isn't exactly useful in the civilian world, which explains why my degree is in accounting and finance. After training at Fort Benning, Georgia, I was stationed at Fort Bliss, Texas, and Kelsey and I got married almost immediately, just like every other young, dumb private does, and we got a dog. On a weekend trip to New Mexico, we found German Shepherd puppies in an Albertsons parking lot for $20. So Gunnar went on to live in 3 more states with us and traveled through many more. Shortly after we got Gunnar, I was leaving for a 9-month rotation to Korea, so my in-laws were really enthused to hear they'd be temporarily adopting him. Korea was a great experience, and after returning to the US, I eventually ended up at Fort Riley, Kansas. My military career didn't amount to much, and it didn't come with the heroic war stories. My highlights are more like my platoon mate being hauled off in an ambulance after drinking too much soju in South Korea, or when Papa Roach came over there to play a concert for us, and the taxi driver yelled at us the whole way while we made some questionable decisions in the back seat. There was the MPs were security, and they told us all, don't start a mosh pit, so obviously everyone's gonna start a mosh pit, and they're in there choke slamming people in the concert. It was crazy. By the way, for any of you frat guys here, I promise the barracks get way crazier. So after moving back, I enrolled at UNK the very next semester. I chose accounting and finance because I thought that studying money would just automatically make you wealthy. But I was taught how to build a very precise budget and that wealth doesn't actually work that way. Looking back, I wish I had embraced campus life more. I didn't really attend sporting events or join organizations. I was focused on work, responsibilities, and filling my schedule while trying to maintain my grades. But eventually that pace caught up to me. Last summer, Kelsey told me she was pregnant, and my life changed forever. Most notably, I haven't had a full night's sleep since. I would spend nights reorganizing the garage until 2 o'clock in the morning, like that was somehow going to prepare me for fatherhood. Jack was born on March 2nd, right in the middle of the semester, and 2 days later, we learned that our dog Gunnar had aggressive cancer that we couldn't treat. Might sound silly, but he was our first baby, and knowing that we would lose him was a pretty heavy cloud over us until we said goodbye to him last month. Jack had his own challenges. During finals week, we learned that he had a fairly rare condition called craniosynostosis, where the bones in his skull fused too early. Within a week, we were in Omaha for surgery, which almost literally meant sawing his forehead in half, followed by a night in the PICU and months of helmet therapy. But I'm happy to share that Jack's head is perfectly shaped now. He had his own graduation last week, and he's officially helmet-free. Thank you. This is usually where I'm supposed to tell you about what I learned at UNK, but honestly, neither you or I want a rundown of the financial ratios. What I truly learned came from outside the classroom, that no lecture could have prepared me for the heartbreak of putting my best friend down, or the anxiety I felt handing my 3-month-old son over to surgeons I had just met. I didn't fully embrace the student life, like I said, but I did have a couple memorable experiences. One was competing in an official NASCAR-sanctioned college iRacing event representing UNK and racing for scholarship money. I finished almost dead last, but it was still pretty cool. And now that I've embarrassed myself by admitting I'm a NASCAR fan, I will also expose Dustin Favinger as one too, because he helped make all this happen, so thank you. I also participated in the Student Managed Investment Fund, pitching real stock trades that will someday fund UNK scholarships. Now, Dr. Hayes should fact check me, but I think our class might have been the first one to underperform the S&P 500. So I learned that maybe I shouldn't give investment advice, but I'm gonna do it anyway. My advice to everyone here is simple: invest in yourself. That idea isn't new. Warren Buffett said it. We heard the chancellor talk about it. And while I'll never have Warren Buffett's money, I think I understand wealth a little better now. He would say to get a diploma or learn a valuable skill, and while that matters, and we should all be proud of it, the diploma doesn't tell the story of who you really are. I learned that all those hours I was working was paying the bills, but they didn't build real wealth. In fact, I was wealthy all along. I just couldn't slow down enough to notice. It was in Jack's bright blue eyes on a Sunday morning while Kelsey cooked him breakfast, or in Gunner's tail wagging while waiting for some scraps. So when I said to invest in yourself, here's what I mean. Take your dog for a walk. Take your kid fishing. Learn to cook something. Talk to your neighbor. Learn to say no. This is a big one. Separate yourself from whatever's holding you back. Learn something new about yourself. Try a hobby you've always wanted to learn. Tell your family you love them and hug them. Time is the most valuable resource we have. Do not waste it. But remember, you cannot pour from an empty cup. Take care of yourselves, and the rest will take care of itself. Thank you.